Hello, hope you're doing well. It's been a while. I've been quiet on social media. The reason why, I told you last time that I was serving as a death doula. It was for my stepfather, and he died last Monday. So that process, took a while to get through, and his funeral was yesterday. So I want to thank everybody who's been reaching out. I really appreciate it. I've been, busy. I know you understand that. But I learned a lot, and I want to share a lot that I learned. I was able to huddle with some cousins during the, repast, and we were talking, and I shared with them that their uncle had a good death. And I know it doesn't sound like something that we're used to talking about, especially saying a good death, because I have witnessed several kinds of death and dying scenarios, and not all of them are good, as you know. Some people really struggle. My stepfather did struggle in a sense. He struggled with certain things, and I was sensitive to just listening to what he needed, because our relationship shifted. It shifted from the father-daughter, or if you want to say stepfather-daughter. And I want to say something to men who are stepfathers. I want to say that your role is so noble. I know we have all these gurus out here that encourage men not to become stepfathers if they could help it, of course, to flee for the hills if a woman has children, if she's divorced and you meet her post-divorce. Well, stepfathers or stepmothers, stepparents, it's not an easy relationship. We know the issues around it. Mixing families, not easy. It's not new, however. And yes, if you are someone who can choose to not do it, might be best to not do it if your heart isn't in it, because your heart has to really be in it if you take on that role. So when you heard the voices of the gurus, know that being a stepfather is biblical. I know that sounds crazy, right? But hey, Jesus had a stepfather, if you're a Christian. The most famous stepfather, Joseph, okay? Voila. But anyway, my stepfather was a force to be reckoned with. He was a big personality in terms of he was not an easy person for a lot of people, because he was that corporate type. He had been involved in the civil rights movement. He's in the museum, some of the work that he did, and sitting on boards, very corporate kind of guy. So he was no nonsense and just a stern person. But in a person's life, it's complexities. So he wasn't a simple person to understand. When I was growing up, he was very strict. But I appreciate that, because I stayed out of trouble. I couldn't do anything. It was like I couldn't go to the mall with my friends, because he would say, well, what if one of them steals? Then you're getting in trouble with them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was like Cinderella. My friends remember all I did was housework, because my mother's like a cleaning freak. So I'm just like, if we had a chimney, I would have been cleaning it, okay? So when you grow up and you realize the strict upraising wasn't bad, it was good. And a lot of things I could say about my stepfather. One thing I can tell you, he never violated me. You hear a lot of these horrible scenarios. He never violated anything sacred. He never crossed lines. He was upstanding. When it came to things of that nature, I never had to worry, okay? And it's common for girls, especially, to have problems when their mother brings a new man in the house. My mother met him when I was very young. So he's just been, my dad, my stepfather. I have my dad, my bio dad, and my stepdad. And it was interesting. Sorry for the flies. I'm outdoors, as you can see. I'm outdoors just processing. It takes a while thinking about things. And his death process, I advocated a lot for him. He decided to do things with his health that I didn't agree with, but I couldn't override him. I had to respect his decisions because we get a decision. We all have decisions, life and death even. So certain decisions I wish he had not have made, but I dealt with the fact that, again, this is what he wants to do. The aftermath of it, I wasn't surprised, I have to say, but I'm disappointed in doctors. I'm disappointed in the pharmaceutical industry. Very disappointed. It just confirms everything for me that I needed to know about these industries. I'm supposed to care for people, right? So he died last Monday. I knew he was going to die that day. It's really weird. I've come to trust that discernment. It took a while to trust it, but I can sense, I can tell. People do certain things, and if you're in tune, with them, you'll know when they tell you they're tired. That's a real sign. I know a lot of people know that when someone says, I'm tired. And he said that. He told me that maybe a couple days before he died. He asked me things like, am I going to hell? At one point. And it was like a lot of heavy stuff. Like I said, our relationship, it transformed. It was a friend, not so much a parental relationship at the end. It became a friend. He wanted a confidant. He told me things that he probably hadn't even told my mom. My mom's a widow now. It's a weird thing, right? And when he asked me, is he going to hell? I just simply, I told him, you don't have to. You don't have to go to hell. That's a choice. He was a pastor's kid. I don't have to tell him anything. I felt that he already had those seeds, but I just confirmed to him that all you have to do is return to your foundation. Your foundational truths return. And I called in for people to come with the spiritual messages, other men to come and talk to him. My brother really rose to the occasion. He came down and he went there. We did a lot of his care together, so my brother got to see what it was like to care for him in the end. And again, like I was huddled with my cousins at the funeral yesterday, and I just let them know that he had a very good death. And he was comfortable. I'm really sure of it. He was sure of his the next phase of life, because even though it's called death, it's the end of this stuff. This, as they call meat suit, this flesh that fails us. It ages. It does things that, goes against what we want because it's temporal. So I hope that a lot of us are becoming more comfortable talking about death. I want to open up these conversations more because I did mention in my last upload that the angel of death is among us. The angel of death is among us in a way that I've never witnessed in my life. People are exiting Oh, at one point I told my stepfather, I said, you don't have to stick around here, this ghetto prison planet. Go somewhere better, you know? But he wasn't sure. I think he was definitely that betwixt and between two realms. He was talking to different people, you know? He would say, that person, tell him. And I was like, who? Him over there. But I'm used to that. People seeing people in the room, seeing an old dog that they had. Oh, by the way, cats, the family cats, they held vigils. Tyrone came down from Philadelphia. You know about Tyrone. Tyrone held a vigil by my stepfather's bed. He, you know, he wouldn't leave his side for almost 2 weeks. And the other cats, we only have 3. It's not like a cat kingdom, but they held vigils. They were very involved in the process. So it's something powerful to that. I'll get into that at another time. Another thing that, you know, you find out about is family members, that family and friends or whatever, that, you know, they're not the same maybe. Like from my mother's family, nobody showed up for my mother. You know, no one showed up. These are people that can go all over the world any other time, but they can't make an effort. The efforts that they make are very, it's like an insult. For my mother, who has been so supportive, she has supported them, gone up and down the country, supporting them for anything, a debutante ball, a this, the other, weddings, funerals. But when she needed them, they weren't there. That's all I'll say. But people will show you who they are, you know, and it's no excuse. Let me tell you something funny my mother did. One of the nephews had come over to her to hug her during, you know, the repast, and she didn't recognize him. She's like, who are you? He has an N95 black mask on. And she was like, who are you? And he was like, I'm so-and-so. I won't say his name. You know who you are. I don't know if you even listen. Nobody watch. They don't watch my stuff. But anyway, she was like, I don't know who you are. And he took the mask down. No, he said who he was. And she was like, why do you have that mask on? And I'm cracking up. Well, my brothers were like, Mom, leave people alone. Let them do what they want to do. And that's so weird, right? When I'm talking, I'm seeing, sorry. They were like, leave him alone, Mom. Let him wear his mask if he wants. And he said, oh, you know, this thing is alive and well. This thing is still alive and well. She said, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. I was loving it. Because, you know, older women, which I am one, we don't have filters when we talk a lot. The older you get, you know, less filters on your speech. So she said, this thing, it's nothing, or whatever. Guess what? Later on, I saw him take that thing off, okay? It was, you know, a lot of maskies and people still doing the mask thing inside of churches. I have a lot of opinions about that, but I'll be nice right now. And yeah, I'll just say that was interesting. So much going on. I have to catch up on. Because I've been in this bubble, is certain like a death and dying bubble. So I need to take a little sabbatical. I want to talk about sabbaticals. I've been just looking into what are sabbaticals. I've taken some sabbaticals. I don't know about you, but I became a barber during one of my sabbaticals. And barbering, I don't do it full time. But it's a skill that I acquired on a sabbatical from nursing. A lot of people don't understand sometimes the things that people do. It's not for them to understand. But my barbering has become a sacred skill for me because I was able to do the last barbering for my stepfather. Right beforehand, I had cut his hair, nice gentleman haircut, you know, like a Kennedy haircut, and a beard trim, and because he had let his mustache and beard grow in. So as he was dying, it was a need to take all the facial hair off, you know, in order to keep him clean and everything. I won't get into details of, you know, nursing details. But I took all of the facial hair off. And I've been doing haircuts for my grandson and, you know, people in the family. And it's now I see it's very sacred. It's something that I know it was a bigger reason. I don't do barbering now, for anybody wondering, because it's so much mess between the genders. And it was an incident that happened. I don't hate men or anything. Please don't ever think that. I know that this is all orchestrated. This gender divide, this racial divide, all orchestrated stuff. Unfortunately, some of us are falling prey to it. But you know, in the barbering profession, sometimes women are not welcomed. It's a gender thing, I guess, for a lot of people. You know, professions that were pretty much for men. It's like nursing. When men started to enter the profession, some women were, you know, icy cold to them, even sabotaging a man who's a nurse. But I've always been welcoming to male nurses. I've never seen a problem. It's just at some point you'll see maybe a patient might request to have a female nurse because of modesty or things like that. But it's never been an issue. So, unfortunately for me, the gender thing it was an incident. I don't want to bring it up. But it just made me not want to work in a shop or anything. But my barbering skill is for a different reason. I got off on a tangent. But yes, you'll find that you'll have to do things that really make you think. To do the last barbering for my dying stepfather is something that will always be a memory, very special. And just want to say that I appreciate everybody who has reached out, who is supportive of my mother. And I'll be checking in with you shortly. Want to do some collabs with a few of you. Girl Code and I, we have to get something done soon. We have so much to catch up on with everybody. So I'll see you around. I'm out here just enjoying the outdoors and just taking it easy. So I'll see you soon. Thank you for all the new people. I've been having so many good interactions with new people finding this Instagram, and thank you. I hope that you're having a good day, and we will interact at another time. So take care. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye.